What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. My name is Will. Joining me is my co-host Eric, and today we're doing a mock draft on Sleeper, but we're going to be doing it with landing spots using a mock draft from Tankathon, just so we can get more of an idea of where these guys should land at. But before we get into that, Eric, what you got for the people?
Just want to say huge shout out for all the support. Thank you to our audience, everybody that has subscribed, liked videos, anything like that. We really do appreciate you. I was actually just looking back the other day at where we were a year ago in terms of view count, subscribership, and stuff like that. So I'm very grateful to have gotten to where we are today. But we want to keep that support going. So we really appreciate you guys. But if you are continuing to enjoy the content, please do leave a like on the video. That helps us out a ton. Subscribe to the channel. And if you really rock with us, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. But yeah, I'm excited to jump into this one. How do we want to kind of frame this for the people?
Let's give them the format and let them know what we're going to be doing.
Okay. So per usual, with most of our mock drafts that we do, it is going to be a super flex format. It is going to be half point tight end premium, so a little bit of a bump for the tight ends. Starting 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes in the starting lineup, so that should probably also give a slight bump to wide receivers and half PPR for the overall scoring format. And then also, this is going to be a 2-round mock draft. We're going to be going fairly quick. Like we'll give some breakdowns more specific to the landing spots because that's new to us. But we've done rankings videos for every position for the 2024 class. We've done another mock draft without landing spots, so that's more eval based. So if you're interested in a deeper conversation or a better understanding of any of these players, highly encourage you to go check those out or leave us a comment and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Absolutely. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and switch on over. We're going to be doing this on Sleeper as per usual. And Eric is going to have the 101. So we can go ahead and get this kicked off. Eric, who are you going with the 101?
Once again, no surprises. I'll take the first guy selected in the Tankathon mock draft. That's going to be Caleb Williams. He does go to the Chicago Bears. No surprises there either. Not a lot that we have to discuss. We know that, in our opinion, he's the best quarterback prospect in the draft class. He has really high upside. But in terms of landing spot, he gets DJ Moore to throw to, he gets Cole Kmet to throw to, and a little bit later on in this mock draft, the 9th overall pick, they take another receiver. So he walks into a pretty good skill position room, in my opinion, and just kind of an up-and-coming Bears team that I think will be able to improve. So he's going to be my locked-in 101.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And then taking a look at the 102, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. right here. Just him being the landing spot with the Cardinals, him paired with Kyler Murray, automatically walking in as the wide receiver 1 of that team, and paired up with, a great quarterback going for it for the foreseeable future. I'm really confident in Marvin Harrison going forward, especially if he lands there. So 102, I feel like is a great spot for him.
Absolutely. I'm also really encouraged with what we've seen from Jonathan Gannon and that coaching staff. So I think they're definitely on the up and up over there in Arizona. We get to the 103, and I'm going to take Jaden Daniels, who goes with the 3rd overall pick to the New England Patriots. So let me set him in there. Obviously, there's a little bit of concern with him going to New England. The skill position group devoid of talent at this point, and things in flux with Belichick leaving, new coaching staff. There's still question marks to be answered there. This is definitely more of an upside play. The dynamic rushing ability and what we've seen from him on the ground is incredibly impressive and is going to be very useful for fantasy. But also, I want to give credit where credit is due. Of the 3 top passers in the draft, this season at least, he was statistically the best passer. So he can get it done through both areas. And also, the Patriots do take a receiver in the 2nd round. So he's going to get a little bit of a help in that skill position group.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, out of all of them, I think he's got one of the higher ceilings out of all 3 of them as well. So definitely an exciting player to see. At the 104, I'm going to shake things up just a little bit. I'm going with Brock Bowers. He got drafted to the Chargers in this mock. And, of course, like we said earlier, this is tight end premium. He's one of the best tight end prospects we've ever seen. And him paired up with Justin Herbert going forward with, possibly Mike Williams being gone, Keenan Allen starting to age out. I think that he is going to be a huge part of that offense if he were to land here. So Brock Bowers, love him here at the 104.
I like it. I did not expect you to do that, but I like it a lot, especially in this half-point tight end premium format. He's going to be a gem. That makes me feel even worse for what I'm about to do at the 105 because I'm going to pass on Drake May again. I'm going to take Malik Neighbors here. I don't know that I love the landing spot necessarily, but I do love the draft capital. He ends up with the Giants at the 6th overall pick. They got some question marks there in terms of the quarterback position, but there's no question that he's going to immediately be the wide receiver one. I like the coaching staff. I think they put their players in a good position to succeed. We just have to see who's going to be throwing him the ball. But I've been blown away with what I've seen in my evaluation process of Malik Neighbors. And like each passing day that I continue to evaluate, I get higher and higher on him. I really do think that him and Marvin Harrison Jr., there's not a lot separating them. So yeah, I'll take him here at the 105.
I 100% agree. I was going back and forth myself, and he's kind of where I landed for me as well, honestly.
Yeah.
But with the 106, we are going to go back to the quarterbacks, and we're going to go with Drake May to the Commanders in this draft. Obviously, walking into that team, he's going to have some pretty good wide receivers to start with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, who picked it up second half of the season. It's stands to be seen who's going to be the coach for the Commanders, who's going to be the OC, stuff like that. So stuff's still a little bit in flux. But, Drake May is a prospect. We've been excited about him for a while. And, of course, public opinion has sort of flip-flopped on him as of late. So we're really going to have to wait for the combine to see a little bit more. But as of right now, I think the 106 is a great spot for Drake May.
Yeah, and I don't think this is even shade to Drake May. It's just a testament to how talented the skill position group in this class. Like Drake May is a great quarterback. I think we believe he's a great prospect and that he's going to have success at the NFL level. It's just some of these dudes are supremely talented.
Yeah.
And yeah, also like you mentioned, the coaching search in Washington didn't go how we planned. I think if Ben Johnson was there right now, I'd probably take Drake May a little bit higher. But that's just how the cards have fallen so far. So I like that at the 106.
Agreed.
Go to the 107, and I'm probably going to take Rome Odunze, the guy that I alluded to earlier. He goes at the 9th overall pick to the Chicago Bears, and he gets to pair up with Caleb Williams. In this scenario, he's not going to be the wide receiver one immediately. I think DJ Moore will continue to hold that alpha receiver position as long as he is there. But I think that they're probably going to we'll have to see what the new offensive coaching staff, the new offensive coordinator looks like. But hopefully they allow Caleb to air it out enough to support two high-end receivers. And I think they definitely do fill different roles. DJ Moore can do it all, but he's definitely better in that short to intermediate area and as a yak threat. And Odunze is definitely kind of that deep ball tracker that can take the top off of a defense. So I think that'll be a good pairing there in Chicago.
Absolutely. I love that. And taking a look at the 108, I'm shaking things up probably just a little bit again. I'm going with Bo Nix to the Vikings here.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like, it depends on what they do with Kirk, obviously. Things are going to, heavily depend on that. But if they are to move on from Kirk Cousins and Bo Nix is to step in and, sort of get that starting nod, yeah, the sky's the limit, honestly. If we're looking at Oregon Bo Nix, of course. We're not really looking at Auburn Bo Nix. But honestly, he walks in immediately with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson as his three main weapons. Obviously, T.J. Hawkinson might take a little bit of time to get back to the field. But with that, two people at wide receiver, I think that's a great pairing for Bo Nix. I think going forward, that could be amazing for him. And he is a gunslinger, loves to air the ball out, loves to throw it down the field. I think that could be very valuable for fantasy. So I like Bo Nix right here.
Yeah, I didn't have him quite that high, but you can't argue that that's maybe the best landing spot you could possibly ask for a quarterback. That's such a good situation. So I can definitely see that. I'm excited. We're recording this, Today's Thursday. I think this might go out the following week. We're going to be talking about a recap of the Senior Bowl next week as well. So Bo Nix has been there. Michael Penix has been there. There's going to be some names to talk about for sure that I'm interested in once we get there. But let's move on to the 109 here. I think I might go back to the quarterback although I'm definitely questioning it. But based on the draft capital, it's hard to ignore. I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy. He gets drafted with the 12th overall pick to the Denver Broncos. We've had our back and forths with him as a prospect on this channel, and I'm still not sold entirely on him, but he's still very young. I think he goes to, a Sean Payton offense where he could be put in a good position to succeed. We still have to see what that weapons group is going to look like. There's been a lot of question marks about who's going to leave, with whether it be Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, both of them, who knows. But you get drafted 12th overall in a super flex league, it's hard to pass that up here at the back end of the first.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, can't argue with the draft capital, and also got a pretty good weapons group. We got to see how the chips kind of fall over there as well. But
Right.
with what he's working with, I think he's got a good foundation. And taking a look at the 110, I'm going back to the wide receivers, and I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr. for the Bills, who got drafted by the Bills here. As we know, Gabe Davis is going to be a free agent going into this season, so that does clear up a lot of real estate. Chemistry between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, or even just that production there, it's kind of weird, kind of fluky. But I think Brian Thomas could step in and immediately make an impact with this team. And honestly, his breakout season in college, again, one of the more underrated ones this season. He did really well, and he got great draft capital as well. So I like Brian Thomas right here.
Yeah, I'm definitely not arguing with that. That's what I would have done there too. I'd be very excited to see him paired up with Josh Allen. That would be a lot of fun. At the 111, I think I'll stick with the wide receivers here. Take another first rounder in Troy Franklin. He ends up going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Where is he? There he is. At the back end of the first with the 31st overall pick. This would be a match made in heaven, in my opinion. They have Rashee Rice, who's already there to do the dirty work, the short and intermediate. He's the yak threat. And then you got Troy Franklin to take the top off the defense. That's what they've been lacking, really, since Tyreek Hill has been gone. I'm not saying Troy Franklin is Tyreek Hill by any means, but I think that he at least provides that downfield threat they have kind of lacked the past few years. And also, I would assume that Travis Kelce probably is going to be retiring here fairly soon, whether it be after this year or within the next year or two. And so it's going to open things up even more. So to tie him to Patrick Mahomes for the foreseeable future would be fantastic.
Absolutely agree with that. And taking a look at the 112, just to round it off, I'm going to take Michael Penix, who got drafted by the Falcons in this mock. Obviously, he should step in as the day one starter if he were to get drafted this high by the Falcons. He should be better than Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder. And honestly, the weapons group over there is amazing. He's got Drake London, who's up and coming. He's got Kyle Pitts, who we've been talking about for years. We got Bijan Robinson. It's just a great group around him. So he should be able to make a lot happen with that. Some people would say, because of that, maybe he should be a little bit higher, and maybe he should be. But, we've talked about our tiers, and out of the three with Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, and Michael Penix, I do think Michael Penix is towards the back end of that tier. But with this landing spot, I think that is still enough for a first-round pick, for certain.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I would do the same thing. Like you said, the weapons group is amazing. And also that coaching staff, I think, is shaping up to be really good as well. So I'd be excited about Penix in Atlanta. Let's start off the second round here with the 201. Where am I going to go? I think I'll go back to the wide receiver pool. I'm going to go with A.D. Mitchell. He gets drafted with the 34th overall pick, going to the New England Patriots, pairing himself up with Jaden Daniels. There are some holes in his game. I think his tape is a little bit inconsistent. We've talked about that. But I think that he is a good route runner. I think that he's physically incredibly gifted, kind of like a T. Higgins type mold. And I think based on what we've seen out of the New England wide receiver group, Demario Douglas is really the only one that I have hope for at this point. And A.D. Mitchell fills a completely different role. He's probably the day one starter, the day one alpha, and gets to grow and learn with another rookie quarterback. So I think that their chemistry could be really good right off the bat, and I'd be happy to have him here at the beginning of the second.
Absolutely agree there. I love Donnie Mitchell as well, so I like him right there at the 201. At the 202, I'm going back to the tight ends, and I'm going Jatavion Sanders, who got drafted by the Dolphins here, who we know, like the Dolphins right now, Tyreek Hill is kind of favored as, the alpha out there. Jalen Waddle, I don't know what to really call Jalen Waddle out there after this past season, but I think something that is certain is that they do need more people out there who can, catch the ball, more people out there who can really make things happen. And I think Jatavion Sanders, as a receiver at the tight end position, I think he would be really good for that team. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He'd be able to make plays out there, and he would just kind of provide Tua with that sort of safety blanket other than Tyreek Hill. So to say like there's too many mouths to feed, it's kind of weird because I feel like things get funneled to Tyreek a lot. But with Jatavion Sanders, it could open up the field a lot more for the team, give them another option. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think this would be a dream landing spot for Jatavian as well. Even if he's not, the featured guy, you're not going to expect that from a second round tight end anyway. But yeah, I definitely like that for Jatavian. We go to the 2-3, and maybe this is a shock to people based on how I've talked about him so far throughout the process, but I am going to take Keon Coleman here. He goes to the Baltimore Ravens in the first round with the 30th overall pick. Um, Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but like I do feel like his skill set might be better utilized by a quarterback like Lamar. I feel like he's more trusting in that sense. Not that we've seen him with that many receivers that have the same skill set that Keon Coleman has, but I think that he would throw those 50-50 balls, those back shoulder balls, more often than maybe some other quarterbacks in the league would, and give him the opportunity to show off that contested catch ability, which is where Keon makes his bread and butter. And then, just the draft capital, it's hard to argue with that. And I think him and Zay Flowers would pair really well together in that receiver group.
Honestly, with that toss-up that Lamar threw in the AFC Championship, he might like a guy like Keon Coleman out there to catch it. And he might come down with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the 204, I'm looking at Trey Benson right here. He got drafted to the Browns. Now, obviously, Nick Chubb is still there, but Nick Chubb coming off of what was a pretty bad injury, all things considered. Kareem Hunt is there. I believe he was only signed for that year, though, so he should be out the door as well. I think even if Trey Benson is, the number 2 to Nick Chubb's number 1, which is going to be, I guess, a more hobbled number 1 than we're usually used to seeing from Nick Chubb, I think it could still be a very valuable player in fantasy for, Trey Benson out here. I think it's one of those roles where he could slowly take over as the season goes along as well. He also provides just a lot of diversity in his game, so he would be either a receiving down back at the very least, or to a, 1B to Nick Chubb's 1A. So I think that could be very valuable for a team that runs the ball a lot for the first running back off the board.
Yeah, I'd be excited about that. Not super excited because, like you said, he might not get that RB1 role immediately. But I think he's definitely more talented, at least, than why am I forgetting his name? Not Nick Chubb, but Jerome Ford.
Oh, Jerome Ford, for sure, yes.
Yeah. I think he does need to work out some of the in-between the tackles running, but behind that offensive line, I think he could be very exciting. I'm going to go with another running back here at the 205. I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks, who landed with the Packers. Another situation where he's not going to be the RB1 right away. But I think, interestingly enough, Brooks and Aaron Jones share some similarities in their game. And I think that he would be a perfect fit for that Green Bay offense. I don't know how long Aaron Jones has left. He hasn't really slowed down yet. He still continues to be one of the most efficient running backs in football when healthy. So depending on his longevity, that could change things for Jonathan Brooks. But with a young quarterback, a young skill position group, I'd love to see Jonathan Brooks grow with those guys as well.
Absolutely. And for the 206, I think I'm going to stay with the running backs for one more pick. I'm going with Blake Corum, who got drafted by the Ravens. I just feel like, he steps in immediately and is one of the higher-tiered running backs on this team. Obviously, we got J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be coming off not ACL, an Achilles, correct? He's coming off an Achilles injury. Gus Edwards definitely took a step back. I don't think they're bringing Dalvin Cook back in the door. And, if all of those things are together, I think Blake Corum automatically steps in as one of the more talented running backs on this team, one of the more able-bodied running backs on this team. Of course, he's going to be 23 coming into the league, but that's going to be a good thing in this circumstance. He'll be older, a little bit more mature, a little bit more ready to step into that role. And I think that, even if he's just splitting time with J.K. Dobbins, I think going forward, he would have a pretty big role in an offense that does like to run the ball a good amount. So I do like Blake Corum right here, I think, just to round out the running backs.
Absolutely. And I think I would have done the same in that position as well. Let's go back to the wide receiver room here at the 207. I am going to take Xavier Worthy. Love the talent. Obviously, the statistics, the analytics for him, his profile is really good. He goes to the Browns in I believe the second round.
Yes.
The 54th overall pick in the second round to the Browns. So that gives me some pause for sure. Obviously, the jury is out on Deshaun Watson and whether he's going to return to form at all. If he continues to look the way that he does, then this would be concerning. Also, Amari Cooper is still there, and Amari continues to ball even at what 29, 30 at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so he wouldn't be the wide receiver one, but I do think he's kind of something that offense has been missing, something that we've talked about with a couple of these teams because it's typically, a hard position to fill with that field stretcher, that downfield threat. And I think he could definitely be that for the Browns. I'm just not sure how much passing volume and opportunity there would be to go around, which is why he lasted this far in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's weird taking Browns wide receivers right now just because that team has been so weird with throwing the ball. But
Yeah.
I am confident, like you said, he does provide something the team needs in a field stretcher and, just something to open up the field more. So I like that pick. Now, looking at the 208, I'm between a couple different people, but I'm leaning towards a guy who got a landing spot that I've kind of been talking about for this, off season, maybe even some of the college season as well. It's Braylon Allen because he somehow landed with the Cowboys in this mock in the third round. And I've just been thinking like that landing spot for him would be pretty incredible, especially if they were to retain Tony Pollard after this year as well, kind of get that thunder and lightning sort of pairing back. Because a guy like Braylon Allen is extremely valuable to a team like the Cowboys. And it's something that we were missing quite a bit last year. So he would step in immediately, get that red zone role. He would step in immediately, get that first early down, grinder role. And, Braylon Allen, say whatever it is you want about the last couple of years. They were a letdown, but the fact he broke out at 17 and did what he did, he's shown flashes of who he could be. And even if he's anywhere near that with this Cowboys team and this offense that would use him in the role that we see, I think it could be great for fantasy.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, echo all of the same sentiments. I think that would be the perfect landing spot for Braylon. Then we go to the 209. Where am I going to go here? I think I'll take another guy that was drafted by the Cowboys in this mock. He was taken at the 56th overall pick. It's going to be Ladd McConkey. I'm pretty interested to see how this would work out. Let me set him in here. Where's he at? There he is, 583. Because they do use CD out of the slot quite a bit. And obviously he can operate at any position, X, Y, Z, wherever it is. Ladd McConkey, I think, is going to have to operate more from the slot, although we did see his ability to play from outside. I think he took 35 to 40% of his snaps at Georgia from out wide as well. But I think this offense has been begging for a more consistent wide receiver too. And I think that Dak obviously can support more than one wide receiver with that passing volume that they have over there in Dallas. And we've been seeing him cook so far at the Senior Bowl as well in terms of his route running and separation ability. So I think he would fit in pretty well there in Dallas. So I'll take him here at the 209.
Absolutely. I love that pick right there. At the 210, I'm going back to the running back room, and I'm going with Bucky Irving, who got drafted by the Buccaneers. Bucky to the Bucks. It's funny. But I just feel like he would step in immediately and make an impact. I think he would step in and immediately be better than Rachaad White. Now, is he going to immediately usurp Rachaad White? I don't believe so. I think, the team's going to have more trust in Rachaad White, especially after the season he just had. But Bucky Irving does kind of provide more of a dynamic runner to the team. He provides someone who can actually make those home run runs. He provides someone who can actually run the ball for this team that Rachaad White didn't really, do last year. So
at least not efficiently.
Yeah, not efficiently. But I think Bucky Irving, just given the stats we've seen, the efficiency he's had in college, if that's able to translate at the NFL level, I think he'd be great for the Buccaneers in this situation.
Absolutely. And we've talked about it plenty, but the receiving ability with Bucky Irving is also through the roof. And I know that that's Rachaad White's calling card, but I believe he's better than Rachaad White at that already too. So yeah, I'd be excited to see that. The volume might be low because of Rachaad White and what he's proven so far, but it'll come around, and he's definitely going to be a steal. So I like that a lot. And then at the 211, who do we have remaining here? You're going to make me do it. You're going to make me take a guy that I don't want to take, but I'm going to have to do it because of the draft capital. Give me Xavier Legette.
Yep.
I'm not happy about it. He goes at the 38th overall pick, so a very high second-round pick, to the Titans of all teams. So, draft capital is great, but landing spot, I'm not a fan of. He's got Will Levis throwing him the ball. He's a worse version of Treylon Burks, who's already there. We don't know exactly what the coaching staff is going to. We know what it is. They've been hired, but we don't know what it's going to look like in terms of on-field product. So there's a ton of question marks there. At a certain point, you have to trust market value and you have to trust draft capital. So I think just based on that alone, he's worth taking here. But I'd be looking to trade him as soon as I drafted him if I did this.
Plus, that boy has been getting cooked at the Senior Bowl. So anybody who's got
Yeah.
something to say, check that shit out because he has been getting cooked.
Yeah.
And then taking a look at the final pick of this 2-round mock that we're going to be doing, I'm going with Tez Walker to the Panthers. Something similar like we talked about with who was it that we said that with? Why am I blanking on it right now? Well, we said with Roma Dunze, he'd be a young wide receiver stepping in with a young quarterback, so they got time to kind of build up that rapport. Now, is he going to be the alpha on this team? I would imagine not. I would imagine they're going to bring in some free agent talent to this team, somebody like T. Higgins, something like that that's available with this wide receiver class. So I think he's got an opportunity to at least be the number 2 with this team and just to grow with Bryce Young and maybe even one day become that number 1. But I think, I trust in the talent of Tez Walker. He got drafted with decent capital, 65th overall pick. But yeah, I'm excited about seeing him play at the next level. I really want to see more out of Tez Walker, so I really am excited about this pairing.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot. That will round out our 2 rounds of this mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are interested in the rest of the landing spots for anybody that wasn't included on here, we can link the Tankathon mock in the description below. Although, be aware that does change on the daily. They're constantly updating that, so it might not look exactly the same as the picks that we had. But if you want to take a broad look, we'll have it down there in the description. And then, as always, like we talked about at the top, if you guys are enjoying the content, please do leave a like. That means a lot to us. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. That's all I got, I think. Will, do you have anything left to say to the people?
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check out those links down in the description as well for our Discord. You can join that community, just be a part of that, and talk with some people who talk fantasy football every single day. And make sure you check out the links to our sponsors over at Choice Music Group and over at Do Numbers. If you want some cool merch and apparel and just want to listen to some cool music, check those links out in the description below. But with that being said, if you guys made it this far into the video, as always, we love you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.